My name is Shauna Beeler, and this is my video post for the Chapter 5 assignment, Violence in Schools. Violence in schools has become a trending topic as more issues arise in relation to school violence, like guns, violent video games, cyberbullying. Something stood out to me in all of my research that I kind of summarized in my paper, but it was, we will not find the solution to problems of violence, alienation, ignorance, and unhappiness by increasing our security apparatus, imposing more tests, punishing schools for their failure to produce 100% proficiency, or demanding that teachers be knowledgeable in the subjects they teach. Instead, we must allow teacher and students to interact as whole persons, and we must develop policies that treat the school as a whole community. The future of both our children and democracy depend on our moving in this direction. That really stood out to me because as much as I want there to be a simple solution to this, we just see rising numbers in school violence and school shootings and cyberbullying. There isn't just any one answer as much as I would like there to be. There are several reasons, several research studies on why it might be happening. There isn't just a simple answer, so that stood out to me. As far as guns in school, I read that the odds of a K-12 student being shot and killed at a public school is roughly 1 in 614 million. I thought that was so fascinating because it just, in my head, it seemed like it was more likely than what it is. And I think there's a reason for that. I think large numbers of people dying in a single event in a school setting feels like a uniquely threatening tragedy to people. And I think that because we grow up feeling safe in the school environment. We're sent to school by people we learn to trust, our parents. They send us, we feel safe there, and they pick us up at the end of the day. So when we see things like the Parkland shooting, it's a unique environment for something like that to happen, a place where we grew up feeling safe to attend. So it becomes uniquely threatening to the community discussing it. It's shocking, it's jarring to think about. An impact I think that has had on schools, and in the school I work in anyway, we increase security measures. I know all staff members have to go through lockdown, lockout, and lock-in training. We do it at the beginning of the year, and we also do it halfway through. We also have a new check-in system. Previously, anyone could walk into our building, and now there's a security, bulletproof glass little reception area that you have to check into. Even students have to show their ID before entering the building. So that's changed drastically. And we also have Safe Defend, where staff members have their fingerprints scanned in. So if there were a school shooting, I could run over, it would scan my handprint, and this little box would open. As the box opens, it calls the police department, and inside there's like pepper spray and handcuffs. Fortunately, we've never had to use it, but it's a brand new system that's going into schools to increase safety by calling emergency services quicker. So we're improving stuff as the conversation continues in the building that I work in. I also discussed violent video games. In the research I looked at, it talked about there being a correlation between how often kids are playing and increased aggressiveness afterwards. So it seems like the longer they were exposed to that violent content and the longer they play, the more likely they are to demonstrate aggressive behaviors. I thought that was really interesting, and the way I connect it to school. Sometimes I have kids that'll come in and they'll sleep in class, and when I talk to them about it, they'll always say, like, I was up all night and I didn't get any sleep because I was playing video games for the entire night. And I always ask them, like, do your parents know about this? That's so crazy. And they're like, no, they don't know what we play. They don't know that we did it all night. So I think that's a little bit interesting that those kids that are exposed to it, oftentimes I don't think their parents know the content of what they're playing, or in that example, how often they are. So I think with the research on violence and its connection to gaming, and it shows increased amounts of gaming results in aggressive behavior, I think it's a parent's responsibility to make sure that they're not living on those gaming systems. I don't think that's healthy. And cyberbullying, I think that's an issue in every building. The more social media especially becomes a factor in our everyday lives in a school setting. But at our school, we created Challenge Day so we can teach tolerance and we can help kids kind of confront what they're being bullied about so other kids can hear it. And it just kind of paints them all in a setting of we're all human. We deserve to be treated like that. And it's done wonders in our building. So we actually have a week of Challenge Day at the beginning of every year. Overall, just to summarize my paper, I think The solution to school violence isn't something that can be easily answered. There are many contributing factors. Things like guns in schools, violent media, cyberbullying. The thing they all have in common is people. Different elements all stemming from people. People carry guns into schools, people create and play violent games, people harm others by various forms of cyberbullying. If people are a common factor, one thing really stood out to me as a high school educator. At the high school level, one of the barriers that keeps us from finding the solution to problems of violence is the belief that elementary school teachers are experts in child development, high school teachers are experts only in content, with middle school teachers acting as some kind of hybrid. High school teachers need to know the whole child too, and we need to honor that the whole child has holes, longings, absences, and troubles. So that's kind of where I went with my paper and my thoughts on it. Thanks.